The Stanford Prison Experiment was a psychological study that took place at Stanford University in 1971. It was conducted by Professor Philip Zimbardo and his graduate student, Craig Fields. The experiment aimed to investigate the psychological effects of power, authority, and identity. Zimbardo and Fields recruited 20 male college students to participate in the study. The participants were randomly assigned to their roles, and the experiment was designed to simulate a real prison environment. The students who played the role of prisoners were arrested by real police officers and taken to a mock prison located in the basement of Stanford's psychology building. They were stripped naked and given prison uniforms and were then locked up in solitary confinement for the first 3 days. The prisoners were also given numbers and were referred to by those numbers throughout the experiment. The guards, on the other hand, were given uniforms and sunglasses and were told that their job was to maintain order in the prison. They were also given a whistle and a wooden club to keep the prisoners in line. From the start, the guards began to use their power to abuse the prisoners. They forced them to clean the toilets with toothbrushes, made them stand in the corner while they shouted at them, and even denied them food and water. As the experiment progressed, the guards became more and more abusive towards the prisoners. They began to use sleep deprivation as a form of torture, keeping the prisoners awake for days on end. They also forced the prisoners to perform humiliating tasks, such as singing and dancing for their amusement. The prisoners were also beaten and tortured if they did not cooperate. However, despite the brutality of the guards, the prisoners were surprisingly resilient. They developed their own system of communication and formed a community within the prison. They also began to resist the guards' orders, which led to even more abuse. After only 6 days, the experiment had to be stopped due to the guards' increasingly violent behavior. Several of the prisoners had to be released with psychological problems, including anxiety and paranoia. The Stanford Prison Experiment was a harrowing demonstration of the power of situational influences on human behavior. It showed how people can be influenced by their environment and the roles that they are expected to play. Despite its controversial nature, the Stanford Prison Experiment remains one of the most important studies in social psychology. Watch full video and more in channel.